with Bryan and Frankie Corrado. So, guys, the NHL season's so close, and I'm going to tee you guys up. Let me know if you're confident or concerned. Let's start with the Leafs D. Has long been a question mark. Hayes, do you think their defense is good enough to compete for a cup?
I am going to say confidence by like a percentage point. Okay, if this was out of 100, it would be 51% into the confidence side of things here. Okay, I really like the improvements that they made over the offseason. Bringing in Chris Tanev is a big addition to your top four. Really big on the penalty kill, which has been an issue for them in the past. I think he sets up really well with Morgan Rielly. They let them play and let them play for years to come. And I think there will be a lot of cohesiveness there. I think Oliver Ekman-Larsson, for some reason, prior to him getting to Florida and he had to pop, it felt like he'd been in the league for 25 years. He's not over the hill. He's still relatively young. He played well last year. He brings something to the offense as well. The power play, he's got a big shot. If he plays with the physicality he did down in Florida, I think that is an improvement. We'll see what happens with Jani Hakanpää, if he's going to be healthy enough to add something to the table here. But I think they're just good enough. This is not an elite defense core, but you don't always have to be elite. And if you have a top three on the back end of Rielly, Tanev, McCabe, presuming health, which applies to every team in the league, I think that's just good enough for them to feel good enough about where they're at on the defensive side of things.
I'm confident more than I'm concerned with this blue line, and let's face the facts, like this was the biggest work in progress for the team over the offseason. They finally found the ideal D partner for Morgan Rielly and Chris Tanev, and we'll see how that looks. And bringing in Oliver Ekman-Larsson adds a different element to, yes, the bottom half of your D pair or your D pairs, but now it gives you a different look on the power play where, as we know, Morgan Rielly's not going to blast the puck from the top on the point. He doesn't have a big slap shot. Now, if you can add Oliver Ekman-Larsson to that power play unit from time to time, what does that do for Matthews and Marner on the half wall? Does that open them up a little bit more to make some plays? And the other thing that, you know, this D-core has going for it now than it maybe didn't last year is that players are going to be slotted better. You're not going to have to force feed Timothy Liljegren to play with Morgan Rielly, where we would see a couple good games, then we would see a game where he kind of shows his youth. You know, you're not going to ask too much from a guy like Simon Benoit. So having everyone slotted a little better is going to go a long ways for this group. And I expect Chris Tanev to be the best D partner that Morgan Rielly has played with throughout his time as a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Oh, we're going to have to reassess that in a couple months, Frankie. Next up, the Canucks goaltending, Thatcher Demco. Of course, he's awesome when he's healthy. Frankie, are you confident or concerned in Vancouver's goalies?
I'm concerned. The fact that Thatcher Demco is still dealing with something that goes back to last season, that concerns me. And you go back to the start of last year for the Vancouver Canucks, they were scoring at will. They were scoring easier than a lot of the other teams in the NHL, and at some point that was going to have to correct itself. It did correct itself, but what happened during that time was the Canucks were giving up a lot of high danger scoring chances, and Thatcher Demco had to bail his team out a lot. He did that. He bought them time before they were able to shore up their defensive play, and it led to them having a terrific regular season. If you don't have that Thatcher Demco behind you, that level of ease, knowing that that goaltender is there, it's going to look very different for the Canucks, and they need him to be healthy and available come playoff time if they want any sniff of going far in the playoffs. He wasn't available for them last year. He's going to need to be available for them this year if they want to make a run at the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's very simple. The concern simply relies in health. Like, that's the only thing we're talking about here, because I think Thatcher Demco could win a Vezina. He was nominated for one. He is truly one of the best goaltenders in the NHL when he's healthy, when he's playing. And health applies to every goalie in the league, every team in the league for sure. Obviously, it's been a lingering issue for him for quite some time. They're walking into camp and they're a little bit concerned, but we're not talking about the playoffs in September, right? You don't win a Stanley Cup in September, October. You maybe load management this a little bit. If you believe in Rick Tocchet, the system, the forwards, the defense, what they put together last year, get in, get him healthy, and then I have no concerns. If Demco is healthy, that team is legit. He's one of the best goalies in the league.
I agree. Vancouver's going to have to be super mindful with his health going forward. And now the Oilers. The last time a team lost Game 7 of the Cup final and made it back next year, guys, it was 68 years ago. So, Hayes, are you confident they'll be back or concerned the league's oldest team by age, may have a hangover.
No, I'm confident they're going to figure this out. Like, trends are important in some areas, but this one I think is a little bit deceptive, Sarah, because yes, they are the oldest team in the league, but McDavid's not, Draisaitl's not, Bouchard's not, Skinner's not. The core of this team, like the best players
Under
on this
30.
team, all under the age of 30, right? And Zach Hyman's just over 30, but he's still playing like the best hockey of his career. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is like wine. He just gets better, I think, with age. I think he's still going to be in his prime for the next couple of years, certainly this year. So yes, the number is legit. They are the oldest team in the league, but not their best players, not their prime players. I don't think the trends of the last 68 years, 100 years, 2,000 years, I don't care what it is, I'm not betting against the Oilers. I think they'll be fine this year.
I'm still confident in the Edmonton Oilers. And you take a look at some of the players that left. Like, there was a lot of foot speed that left that group. It was McLeod, it was Holloway, it was Fogle. But I still think there's a lot of hunger there as far as the players that were brought in to replace those guys. So I don't necessarily worry about the Oilers. I think the top-end talent is going to carry this team, and the depth players are still going to play a massive role. Guys like Jeff Skinner, guys like Arvidsson, Adam Henrique, they will fill a role and fill a need for this team to help supplement what the best players are going to be doing on a night-to-night basis. I have no worries about the Edmonton Oilers going into this season. Very confident in that group.
Well, I'm eager to see how this whole season goes. Guys, thanks so much for this.